welcome to Talkative. I'm your host, Ifrake, and today we are with the ghost, the art business silence, because he works in silence with recognize. We are with Ahma. Ahma, say hi.
Hi guys.
Hi.
Hello.
First episode, guys. This is the first episode. Oh my god, I'm so excited. Anyway, so Ahma, today, I don't know if I've told you what Talkative is about, have I? Should I say?
Yes, please.
Okay. So Talkative is a space that documents and archives the struggles and successes and basically the journey of being a creative. So I consider Ahma a creative. That's why he's on my show, honestly. So I see him not physically create, but he creates spaces, creates events, creates experiences, and also writes and creates, should I say, something you can't touch. Things that are not, what's the word?
Ideas?
Yeah, he creates ideas. Let's say ideas. So, Ahma, what's the latest idea you have for him?
Well, so I think I normally find myself doing a lot of things. Latest idea. I found myself really messing around with documenting certain artistic experiences in the art space in general. In specific, I think I did a play shoot with a couple of my friends some weeks ago. So I had about 3 of my friends over at my place.
What is a play shoot? What is a play?
So also it's just a term that I give myself. So a play shoot is for me not a serious shoot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so what that means is I normally find myself curating shoots for different experiences, but a play shoot is my rules, my space, less professional. I just had 3 of my friends over for a weekend. It was a 3-day shoot, and we just were messing around with goofy, dark photography and stuff.
Can we see some of that?
Yeah, you would see some of it.
Where is it?
A couple of it has been released on the Bloomsville page.
Oh, okay.
But the main works are going to be without putting the end of the month.
Okay, that's cool. Alright. So that's what you're working on presently. What have you worked on in the past?
Honestly, I find myself just doing a bit of everything. I naturally am the person that gets bored pretty quickly, so I try to not touch and leave, but touch and follow. That can be it.
That's cool.
Yeah, I've done a little bit of stuff in the art space, which is typically my bag.
It's not a little bit, he has done a lot. If you don't know, Ahma had like a presentation at Plus 234, the art fair that just concluded about 2 weeks ago. You should have seen it. It was really cool. Do you want to tell us about that? What did you discuss? You don't want to tell us about
So about the Plus 234 conversation. So maybe I would probably have to give like a little bit background to what I do. So in the art space, I work for an art tech company called Create, and in that space, I'm a partnership lead. What that means is I have to be involved in a day-to-day engagement with different art stakeholders, and then I also run the research unit for my company. And that involves user experience, data collecting. Once again, still engaging stakeholders, talking to people, professionals in the art space, curators, galleries, artists, trying to understand the challenges that they have in the space, and then using that data to make decisions.
Okay.
So it was last year we started an art focus group program.
Okay.
And they had us engaging a lot of art professionals in the space, and data we got from those studies was what I was able to use to create a presentation for the Plus 234 Art Fair.
Okay.
And the concept of that presentation was shining light of, the topic was behind the tech, and it was just to shine light on the consciousness behind technology in the art space. It came from a place of me understanding that people think about technology in an aesthetic value rather than the functionality. So when you walk into a space and you see some form of technology, people just think it's just some form of beautification or extraordinary. But there's a thought process, or there should be a thought process behind technology. Why should it be there? Why should you use it this way? And that was the backbone of the entire presentation.
That's cool. I'm sorry that I missed it because you did not say anything about it. I don't know if I mentioned, but Ahma is sort of a ghost. It was a hassle getting him here without a cap. In fact, I had to fling the cap off the set. But we are here and we are there. So when you say technology in that space, my mind immediately goes to like displays and waves. Even with the digital art that display like +234, would you say there are other ways that you can use art? Like give an example of the way you can use art in space.
Technology.
Or conventional.
So this is a bit of a forecast of like a way to use technology that might not be. So you walk into an art exhibition and you're a person that struggles with social anxiety. The curator is busy with a group of people. The artist is busy talking to an separate group of people. You have social anxiety, but you want to get information about the space that you typically don't have the opportunity to dialogue with the artist with. So as simple as a QR code on the artwork that allows you to scan it and then read information about the work or listen to any media materials tied to the QR code allows you to get more information about the work without necessarily having to do the human interaction.
Okay, that reminds me of the CACC event. CCA. The CCA event we went to where there were headphones to listen to what, because it was an olfactory exhibition, so there's a sense of smell and then there's a sense of hearing. So you put on the earpiece, you can hear like water running in the back for some pieces, and then get the sense of like what that smell would be like in a physical environment. So that was really cool. That's really cool. How did you begin your work with Create? I beg on. Because anytime like I mention Create in public, because I have affiliations, you know. But anytime like he mentions affiliates or I mention affiliates, they're like, oh my god, they Create labs. I'm like, I knew but that sounds important. So what is Create Lab? How did you get a job there?
So Create is an art tech solution provider in the space.
Okay.
I like to call us the big dogs when you think about art tech in Nigeria.
Okay.
How did I get into the gig? I was working at EdTech for a couple of years, and I was opportune to have some ties to certain members of the leadership of Create.
No possible.
Well, not necessarily, but yes, I think I can say I was privileged. But I also had the proof of work because I've managed a creative community for about 6 years currently now.
Is that
Bloomsbury? Yes. So, I was managing Bloomsbury Law as my own personal company for years, and managing that kind of exposed me to a lot of artistic and creative personalities in the space. And my current company, Create, at that time was looking for someone that had those relationships that they did not have access to.
Okay.
And it just felt like opportunity meeting readiness.
Yeah.
The rest is
Create lead.
Yes, I started as a brand strategist.
Was that a brand strategist?
Yes, and then
Okay, I can see that working. He's also the co-founder of 2 Minutes Talk, where I also work. I'm a busy woman.
You're a busy woman.
But yes, he's the co-founder of 2 Minutes Talk, and basically 2 Minutes Talk goes around documenting experiences in 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
2 minutes. So, would you say there's anything that you would like to dabble in right now?
A lot.
Okay.
A lot. I mean, I hope to do so many things, but if I should pin it down to just the creative space, I would say gamification is something I'm really big on. I feel there's a lot of experiences and better interactiveness that would come from when certain creative experiences are gamified. I would love to see how people engage with a listening party, an art exhibition, when you gamify certain experiences around it. And I really want to explore what that would look like. I'm also very big on research in the creative space. I have so many other projects that I've not even publicly put out, but I'm trying to play a key role as a thought leader in the art space when it comes to research. And then I also am a very big fan in the background of the rave community and culture.
Are you going to G tonight?
No.
Why? You have embarrassed us. You say you like rave, why are you not raving?
So, my personality unfortunately makes me have to manage certain spaces I put myself in. I once again unfortunately get overwhelmed with certain amount of space, people and things. So it feels like overstimulation, and I try to manage how much I expose myself to stuff.
That's fair. Considering that you're not new in the space and you've been around like a vampire, so I want to ask, if you were to add like 2 things into the art space or change 2 things, what would you do? What table would you shake?
Well, the first thing I feel like I want everybody to always remember me for is data. So the study that we started last year, because it's not conclusive, shows that averagely art professionals make decisions with only 40% of data, if even accessible. So an average art professional uses 60% and above intuition, which is more or less like Bible inshallah. To make decisions in the art space, and it serves a purpose due to certain constraints and challenges, but I don't believe it's sustainable. That's why when you're trying to build a very, very progressive ecosystem.
It's one of the evolution.
So I personally want to change the culture of people being afraid to document, publicly share certain insensitive data. Now, I'm not saying share me your financials and the name of your clients. I'm just talking about things like quantity of sales, how often you do projects in the art space, those kind of simple information.
One thing I always found interesting is I never know what time, like what week to set an event. Because let's say for March, we have the Eid festival and the Eid public holidays where everybody's going to be setting their events. You have first week, salary just enters, prime time, but also a bit packed. Then we have the last week, prime time, money is coming. So I'm always questioning, do I set before the money comes in, or when the new money is coming in, or when other events are coming in? So I think like that data will be actually very useful in finding out what is the best. I'm sorry, but it is a capitalist society. So what is best to set your event for profitability?
And then, still on that same case problem that you're talking about, if galleries, for instance, recorded how often they did exhibitions, and we could look at a 2-year trend, we'll be able to tell, last year and this year, 10 galleries did exhibitions by late March, and they sold this amount. So that means that there's a trend of sales going.
Particular season.
And we're not talking about you telling us how much you sold, we're just talking about quantity and frequency.
And frequency.
And that's how data makes you make better decisions. So you can now use that those kind of trends and say, okay, if more people are buying art or going to exhibitions at this period of time, if I'm doing something artistic, this is a possible good time to do my experience.
But that leads into the capitalist society where you have data, you have information is precious. So this your change, would it be monetized?
Yes, it can be monetized, but I'm more...
Would you monetize it?
You need money. but as much as I respect the financial value of data, I'm more personally impact measurement of why we do things. Yes, it's good to think about money, but think of it this way. You're a farmer, right? And you're planting crops, and you're wondering why your crops are not doing well. Okay. Now, you might want to consider about the fact that, your crops are not doing well, so you're not making enough money. But I'm the kind of person that considers more about why is the crop not doing well? Why is the farm not doing well? And if it's a farm I truly care about, how can I ensure that this farm continues to do well while I'm also making money? Okay. So I pay more attention to more impact measurement. So everything I do, yes, the financial value is one of the drivers, but impact is always my personal primary concern.
You guys should be more like to make the whole life better, please. But okay, based on that, I would say I'm a personal stalker. It's one of my favorite activities. If you put your public information out there, I will find it if I'm interested enough. And I went looking, and I went searching. And I know you've mentioned it before, but this day I went searching. You used to be a DJ. Ahma, you spin that deck. So, how did you get into that, and why did you opt out?
Well, Talkative probably has me saying this for the first time in public.
Yes! These are the bureaus. Yes. How did you get into DJing and why did you stop?
So DJing, weirdly, was a psychological coping mechanism. It's not as fancy as it sounds. I mean, you probably hear people say, it's my passion. No, I was in a mad place.
You needed to put in that work.
And I needed to. So, DJing came from, this is really nostalgic to think about. Okay. Back in Unilag, I've always been a music fanatic, if I should use that word. I've loved music across different genres, but with time I realized I was always tilting towards electronic music. Okay. How that came about, I truly cannot pinpoint, but I knew I found the sound and I just started getting really engrossed with it. Then in the university, I think like my year 2, I came across this really cool guy. So shout out to TK, right? 2+ King. Really amazing guy. Okay. But back in school, he was a videographer, and meeting him kind of just inspired me. Okay. And a lot of things came to play. I'll try and summarize it as best as I can. But TK was a videographer. He wanted to start this music group called the Lost Streams, which we eventually started back in school. Lost Streams was my first ever experience of what a creative collective could ever be. In fact, I would humbly say that everything I've tried to build ever since that experience has been taking some of the best values that Lost Streams exposed me to. That's cool. And then DJing, circling back to DJing, I'd always loved music. And my head guy, Tiki, was like, dude, you're good at this stuff.
He is great at this stuff.
And he was like, why don't you take it serious? Back then, I was really just a virtual DJ guy. You know virtual DJ and OG?
I don't think so.
I was a virtual DJ guy. And then my guy was like, dude, you cannot be taken serious if this is where you're
doing.
And I was really good at it. And then it was like, man, you have to like go at it, take it serious, get a deck. And he psyched me, and he properly, man, it's good to just have people that believe in you almost more than you believe in yourself.
Yeah, a supportive environment is literally almost the basis for success. Talent and a supportive environment.
Yeah, and everything just kind of pushed. And when I say it was a psychological coping mechanism, I used to deal with severe social anxiety.
Yeah.
I mean, now it's just
It's
just enough to look cool. But then I was just like, I was really dealing with it, and it was an interesting way. It was like throwing a kid into the fire. My guy, I think he was like, dude, like you guys born. The first thing he did was we did a sci-fi together. I hope that video is still up online.
Please, you send us so that we can do like edit video here,
we did a sci-fi. It was probably one of the coolest things that we did, and the rest is history. I played at clubs.
You played at clubs?
Yes. So.
Mention one club.
I played at I played at Daydream. It used to be a pool club at Landmark.
What time frame did you DJ?
So this time frame we're talking about, like, I stopped
2019.
A little back.
2017.
2017-ish, because 2019 was like nearing the era I was already like calming down. I was like chilling out. But yeah, 2018, 2017 were like my busy years. I played at a couple lounges. I had friends that were like club PR. There's a name that I'm really dying to call, but Daydream was a pool club. I think that was my longest gig, and I was at Landmark Pool Club. There's no longer there thanks to the government. But yeah, I played there for a couple months. Shout out to Bankhead. I also played at some really cool clubs at house parties were like my favorite.
Yeah,
controlled environment.
I know the talk of an anxious person.
I wasn't really big on Nigerian clubs. They were never my thing.
Okay.
I did them just for the experience and occasionally to catch.
If you want to catch Bobby type Ahma on a DJ set or like playing some music, you can catch him on Dr. Nare. Dr. Nare hosts Spotify jam sessions every Friday, and sometimes he graces us with his awesome mixes and his awesome playlist. So see us at Spotify. Ahma, it's been lovely having you. I like to end my episodes, at least it's a tradition I'm starting, episode 1. Well, I like to end my episode with a riddle. I'll give you a riddle and you try.
Don't tell me this one.
As the tradition goes, I'll give you a riddle and you try to solve. I'll give you 2 numbers, number 1 and number 2. Pick a number, and I'll give you a riddle.
I like even numbers.
So 2. Perfect. So, how do you get number 6 to become an odd number?
How do I get number 6?
How do you get 6 to become an even number? You can comment if you know how to solve this riddle, or if you have an idea. But Ahma,
how do you get 6 to become
an odd number?
An odd number.
Yes. Editor, please play. At the background.
I don't know, private.
Actually, the answer is if you write it as write 6 as a figure, like word SIX, then take away the S and then you have a 6. It was so lovely having you talk at it. Was it fun?
I enjoyed it. I'm grateful to be here.
Alright, we look forward to having you again. This is one, guys. Hopefully there will be something creative doing that they will invite me for. Fair enough. So yes, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
If you have any questions for Ahma, you can find him at Create Labs. Yeah, that's the only thing I can give to very honestly. He's a ghost, as I said. You can find him on Create Labs.
Or you can try and find me on Instagram if you're lucky.
Yeah, do that. I hope you had fun with me and Ahma, my guest. I hope to see you in the next episode of Talkative. It was lovely having you here, and bye.